Man, living the dream, bro.
No, that,
Hey, we all doing what we can, man. I'm down.
Yes, sir.
hey man, great to see all of you, man. We live, gentlemen, and so let's do this really quick. Just share it with your on your Facebook page. I just learned recently, like you can't share it really until the show goes live. I mean, you can share that it's happening, but you can't share it in real
Yeah,
time.
you can't create that watch parties and stuff like that.
Yeah. Let me try to X out of this. Okay, so those who are just joining us, hey y'all, what's going on? Go ahead and do us a favor. Go to your Facebook pages and hit share live on the video. We are live. We want to make sure that you and everybody else connected to you has a chance to hear part two tonight of our series, How to Love a Man. It is from his lips to her ears. That's the rebrand, the remix, and then we're talking about How to Love a Man series, and part two tonight is Give Him Space. Now I know we ended last week, man, and Lamar he chimed off, but he'll chime back in a minute. Lamar was saying, Reggie and Frederick, that he thought, man, this kind of controversial, man. You talking about giving him space, and we in COVID. You talk about giving him space, and the holidays is here. That's what Lamar was saying last week. And so I thought about it. I said, well, you know what? Should we put this off? Should we talk about it after the holidays? And I said, no. Let's keep it pushing. So tonight, ladies, as you're watching, gentlemen, as you're tuning in, we are going to give it to you live and talk about How to Love a Man, part two, Give Him Space. And the disclaimer, as I shared last week, as we were kind of concluding, was this is not about giving him a pass. Giving him space is not about giving him a 24-hour pass, a 72-hour weekend pass to Miami to come back home and he can do whatever he want to do while he's down there. I mean, y'all know what I'm talking about, right? Those Vegas trips, those guys' trips to, you know what I'm saying, Costa Rica. And Reggie, we've been on some trips before, right? We ain't talking about that tonight. We're not talking about him giving him space to be able to just wow out and do what he want to do, but to give him space to have the ability to recharge. Give him space to have the ability to reflect. Give him space to have the ability to reflect on maybe some things that he could have done differently, some decisions that he could have made for you, for your family, for your household. And maybe in that time that he's been away, he'll come back and he'll say, you know what, babe, I could have did this differently. I messed up. And so now I want to come to you and ask you for your forgiveness, and then also ask you to help me rebuild what maybe I've broken, right? So it's just a great opportunity, I think, that men really need to have. And we'll have some women at some point chime in tonight because I really want to hear from y'all too. Is space something that y'all need as well? We're not going to frame this conversation tonight that space is something that all of us need. We're talking about from his lips to her ears. This is something that we need as men. And so we've got Fred here, we've got Lamar, Reggie, Corey is on his way. But I also have two surprise guests that are coming on, two other men, because I feel some of y'all are probably thinking, well, y'all super close, Reggie and Fred and Lamar and Corey, y'all on every week, y'all brothers, so y'all gonna take up for each other. If one person says something crazy and off the wall, y'all probably gonna co-sign, and that's not how we do on this show. There's plenty of times, Fred will say something crazy off the wall about some duct tape, and I'm like, brother, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. So there's plenty of times that we do check one another. And so tonight we're also going to bring in some additional variables, some additional men who are going to be able to chime in on this conversation. And they've not been privy to what happened last week, and they've not been privy to the nature of this conversation. So glad that you guys are joining us by web. Hit us up on the comments, Facebook. Again, gentlemen, share it by on your Facebook pages. Share it live. I just finished sharing it live on mine. We already got a few comments coming in. Hello, everybody. Good to see you. I feel like I could say good to see you for the next 30 minutes. I mean, people are just chiming in left and right. Well, let's go ahead and let's jump in it. Fred, Lamar,
Yes, sir.
and then we're gonna have the fellas who are joining us later. We'll have them have their 2 cents too. But thinking about loving a man, thinking about giving him space, right? That word, giving him space, has been very contentious and controversial, I believe, for many years, right? And so I just want us tonight, gentlemen, to really kind of clear the air on the reason that men need space, irregardless if you want to give him and grant him space, but the reason for the space. Okay, so let's dive into that. Fred, go ahead, man. You're on the top left of my queue. I want to hear from you first. What is the reason you feel as if that a woman can really deeply and genuinely love a man if she allows him to have his space?
Well, first of all, the ginormous gorilla in the room is, and needs to go without be said, is that we all need space. Everybody needs space. We're all individuals. We all have our own personality, traits, quirks, interests, disinterests, likes and dislikes, and we all need space. We need time to reflect. We need time to gather our own thoughts and do whatever it takes for you to be, quote, normal or functional. But in this discussion, I think it's important, as we reflect on the reasons we need space, the reasons we need to regenerate or rejuvenate ourselves. I think it's important that women understand that you have to approach this from the standpoint of the differences in the way we have in the way we think. We already reflected on women's needs and how we could have, accomplish those goals and those desires that women have for their lives and us in their lives. But you have to look at our needs for space from a man's point of view. As hard as that may be, the process of loving your man begins on your first date, when you decide that this guy is of interest. That's when the patience is required to understand this gentleman's moods, his idiosyncrasies, the pace of his life and the way it flows, and what he needs from you and what makes him happy. You have to understand there are moments in time and moments in our relationships where we need space for different reasons. Sometimes it's the clingy woman. Sometimes it's the woman who thinks that your relationship is going astray. Sometimes it's the fact that men need just time to reflect and put our own thoughts in order and understand the nature of a problem before we decide to talk to you about a problem. Sometimes it's just over. We'll get to that. I don't want to start the whole discussion off on a somber tone, but sometimes that's the case. Sometimes it's just over. And that's up to you to decide. Usually your gut will tell you. Sometimes it's personal or relational problems in your own personal relationship with your man. Men don't tend to start to express our feelings and say, well, you made me feel this way or that way, or well, that makes me feel, or that's just not, quote, manly. And we don't come off like that. What we're going to try to do is what we do when you tell us your problems. We try to solve them immediately. As soon as you start talking, we start figuring out a way to solve your problem. And we've learned that a lot of women don't appreciate that. But what we do as men is we try to put our thoughts in order. And we often need space to do that. That space is important. We don't want you to abandon us. Don't give up hope. Don't say we'll come running back to you when it's time for us to chat or talk. Keep an eye on us. Be available. Be ready. And ask us at a normal amount of time if there's something on our mind. Or 9 times out of 10, we just come right back to you. We're rejuvenated and we're all better for it.
Fred, that was cute, man. It was philosophical too. I knew you was gonna hit us with that. I feel like I'm taking Corey's seat for a second. You know what I'm saying? You hit us with the philosopher comment in the first 5 minutes of the show. That was cute. I enjoyed that. It was nice.
Corey. Is that a Corvette?
No, it's not a Corvette. It's just a little Ford Taurus, man. Nothing major.
Corey lying. He know he ain't got no.
And he lying. He in a.
Corey lying. He know he got no damn Ford Taurus.
Ford Taurus, man. I you know the funny thing is, man. Let me tell you something, man.
You know what? I'm tired of you, man. I'm tired of you.
Hey, man, I miss you guys, man. And you know, I apologize for being late. Staples, I was coming in hoping to hear Reggie talk, Lamar, or Dr. Jason, and I had to come in on Fred and his bullcrap, right? He is so nice and surgical. I forgot he's in the medical field, so he's always surgical with his statements, you know, and just nice. I'm on one tonight, so I'm ready to go.
I'm ready for you. I hope you got enough water.
I don't.
Hey, I put IV on you. Ain't gonna be none of that Niagara, but I'll start IV on you. Keep you hydrated.
I know you
I
will.
won't cause nobody no harm.
So look, Fred took the philosophical route. You know what I'm saying? The first 5 minutes. Reggie, clean this up a little bit, man. I just really want us to dive in and unpack. You know, philosophically is great, theoretically is great, practically is even better. You know, give us some practical application, Reggie. Why it is so important for women who love us and want to love us even more deeply to understand that we as men just need space.
I want to get some better context of even the question. Is this space like as in your relationship, like we need a break or something like that? Or it's just like we just had an argument and we need space? Like what is the
no argument. No argument. Things as well. Reggie just needs a chance to go to the gym. Reggie needs a chance to maybe get in a car and drive for 30, 45 minutes. Reggie may want to just go to the library, right? Just have some me time.
Yeah, so that's just part of a healthy relationship because we were both individuals before the relationship or the marriage or whatever you're in, and we still get to and have to remain individuals while being in a relationship as well, right? So one of the things that I actually picked up from the book that we were reading, The Way of the Superior Man, that really always stuck with me. If he talked about if you're in a relationship, you have to, as a man, make sure that you make time for your bros and you have your hangout time. And she has to make sure that she's making time to do the ladies' nights and stuff like that. Because he said, if you don't, and you spend too much time around each other, you'll start to become like the woman and the woman will start to become like the man because you're spending too much time with each other. So my wife will literally tell you, Reggie pushes me and asks me all the time, hey, babe, when are you hanging out with the girls? I got my fraternity brothers. I make sure we get up, especially now, every week. And I'm spending time with the guys. I make sure that she spends time with the girls. And I feel like when we get back together, you know, that thing's been marinating because she ain't seen me in a little bit. So it keeps it fun. If y'all around each other all the time, I mean, it's just going to get bland too. So it's necessary. It's necessary.
That's what I meant by don't be clean. You're going to touch on all these points. The stuff that I so artfully talked about, you're going to have to get to eventually. See.
You tell a sermon, Fred, when you give an answer, though.
That's your brother right there, man. That's a well-read brother right there, man.
You be giving parables.
I'm the GED section, bro. I'm the comic relief. Everybody else up there is a doctor of something another.
No, I ain't got no doctor.
Hey, I'm moving to the upper right-hand corner.
I'm feeling left out too, Fred. Don't worry.
Hey, so look, Staples, talk to me, brother. Because
I'm trying to figure out what role y'all want me to play tonight, but I'm gonna just go all in and let's just have a little bit.
Because here's the thing: at the end of the night, we always end up on the same road.
Yeah.
Right. We always end up on the same road at the end of the night. We just take different paths to get there.
Yeah. I mean, I think I started it off kind of bad the other night. It just jumped out there and just said,
I thought it was great, just so you know.
Just give him space, you know. I mean, because I believe there's a time and a place for everything, and often with the weight that most men carry, especially married men, most men carry inside of relationships, and trying to be, as we all say, the man, trying to be the protector and the provider. and the one who carries the family oftentimes. Sometimes he just need a minute to breathe. Let him breathe. Lord have mercy, let him breathe. I mean, I said something the other week. Oftentimes in relationships, women want another girlfriend.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They want another girlfriend, and the girlfriend just so happened to be the guy that they laying beside. And the thing is, with that, that can be a hard pill to swallow for a lot. See there, Corey, that can be a hard pill to swallow for a lot of ladies that's in relationships, because I know, you want him to be your best friend. You want him to be that person you can talk to. You want him to be that person, you can sit down and hang out with and all of that. But sometimes you just have to give him space, give him time, give him a moment, give him a minute to breathe. If you give him a minute to breathe, at the end of the day, everything's going to work out in your favor if you don't smother him.
Thanks.
Don't smother him. I'm gonna just give a little personal tidbit, because I've been dealing in this area. Corey has been transparent. But I want all of us, as we are being transparent, that we're also being protected in our transparency. Because somebody would take your transparency and use it against you in the long run. You say anything, do anything, especially when on broadcast, they'll absolutely destroy you later on for something that you might have said in a moment of transparency to help somebody else out. But I came from a family growing up in West Virginia, from the month of November all the way through to the middle of March, and Jason can contest in this. It's 32 degrees or below.
Yeah,
32 degrees and below.
It's cold,
and it's always cold. It's freezing down there on a regular basis, and we up on top of that mountain. That mountain is whipping. The wind is whipping through that mountain. And the thing that we did was, it was four of us, pretty much 3-4 of us that lived in this one house. You had the master bedroom, and then you had another makeshift bedroom in the back. The makeshift bedroom in the back had bunk beds and had another bed around a little corner and a little makeshift area that was really supposed to have been a storage, but was made into a bedroom because his family was large. So what we did was, my bed was up against the wall, and with my bed being up against the wall from the month of November all the way through to March, the wall would often freeze because there was no insulation in the wall. So we were forced out of my bedroom, both of my brother's bedroom. We were forced out of that bedroom into my mother's room, where all of us had to sleep in the same bed. Because of that experience, I don't want to be up under you all the time. Because of that experience, I don't want to be smothered all the time. I know there's times when I got to work and you just want to hear my voice. That's great. That's wonderful. But let me work, because if I don't work, I can't make no money. If I can't make no money, the Bible says I don't eat. I want to eat. Give me a minute. Give me a break. Give me time. Give me time to breathe. I don't want to be smothered like that. That's just me personally. I can't say that for everybody on here, but me, don't be all up on me. That's just, we're gonna dive into some more stuff a little bit later, but I'm gonna just open up with that. Because of my history, I don't want to be smothered. And that's with a lot of men. Because of your history, you don't want to be smothered. And oftentimes when in relationships, because women have not dealt with the things in their past, with the neglect, with the father maybe not being there, with stuff that they didn't see in the past, what they would do is they would try to be all up on him, so much so because they are afraid of losing him, so they really don't want to give him space anyway. Because the moment you give him space, now you're worrying about, is he out there with somebody else? Is he doing something else with somebody else? I have a fear of losing him because now you are giving him space. Keep on drinking, Corey. I like it. I must have said something halfway decent. Because we have issues that we did not deal with in our past.
That's good, Lamar.
Will put us in a place where now we can't trust. And since we can't trust, we want to stay on top of them. We want to stay smothering them. But ultimately, with you trying to smother them and try to stay on top of him, it's ultimately leading him out of the front door.
Lamar, man, that West Virginia story, man, just made me think of a West Virginia story of my own, man. Similar to yours. Growing up in a house where we shared rooms with brothers, we were always on top of each other. But being the oldest sibling in my household, I had a responsibility of my younger siblings, you know, as long as I can remember. And so the responsibility of the older sibling to watch over the younger sibling means that I've had responsibilities to care and look over somebody for most of my life.
Right.
Sometimes when you enter into relationships, Frederick, you want the ability to say, I just need to push pause on life because I've always had the responsibility to take care of somebody else. Right? I haven't had the luxury to have someone take care of me. I've always had to take care of
Somebody else.
right? And so I think that many times as men, especially those who may have grown up similar to us, we need the space, the ability, so that we can recharge and not feel the need to have to be responsible for somebody 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because that will eventually lead to burnout.
And resentment.
Yeah, for sure. Come on, Corey. You sitting there, keep shaking your head. You ain't saying nothing, man.
Yeah. Man, I think tonight for the first 5 minutes, I'm gonna take maybe a more theological perspective, and then I'm gonna get into some gangster stuff. But R.C. Sproul, for those that are avid readers, R.C. Sproul, a great theologian, has a book, and I believe it's called The Holiness of God. And in this particular book, R.C. Sproul speaks on this particular. He gives a story about, and it's been years since I read it, so just bear with me. But from what I remember, Staple, he gives a story about a young boy that had not bipolar, but he was a little mentally challenged. And although he was mentally challenged, he was in school when he had this one particular teacher that he was crazy about, because this teacher accepted him for who he was and loved on him and made him feel normal, so to speak. Well, one of the issues with this boy that was mentally challenged, Dr. Jason, is that he was abnormally strong. He didn't realize his strength. He didn't realize his own ability. And one day, this teacher that he fell in love with brought him back up. One day he brought the teacher an apple. And the teacher was so excited and made him feel so special that the next day the teacher brought him a snack. And when the teacher brought him a snack, he ran up to this teacher, Reggie, and he squeezed this teacher, trying to show the teacher how much he loved her and how exciting he was. And the reality is, Slocum says in his book, Sproul says in his book, that he squeezed her to death. He was trying to show her love, but he ended up suffocating her to the point to where she died.
That's good, man. That's good.
And so what Sproul is comparing this to is to how much God loves us and how God suffocates us with his love, and where he's trying to get us to die to ourselves by squeezing us with love. And that's a great story. But I wanted to use that as an example to women that are watching, for you to understand that sometimes you not allowing that man to have space, you end up being like the little boy that fell in love with the teacher and squeezed the teacher so much to where the teacher died. Sometimes we just need space. And yes, boo, we know you love us. And yes, boo, we know you enjoy being around us. And yes, we know that we complete you and you complete me. And we are excited to be one. And we talk about everything and we do everything together. But there are times where Superman wants to take off his cape, and just be Clark Kent by himself.
Yeah.
And Lois, I know you love Superman and you grew to love Clark as well. But the reality is sometimes I just want to be around the Justice League. I want to be around other superheroes. I want to be around other men that understand the challenges of being a husband, being a leader, being an alpha, being a father, living in a culture where your skin is criminalized. And sometimes I don't want to talk to you about that. And it's not that I don't love you, but sometimes I just need my space.
Yeah.
And for example, guys, it's interesting. I'm taking space tonight. I'm at the barbershop sitting in the car, and women don't understand that sometimes the barbershop is just space. Sometimes I just want to get with fellas and talk about guy stuff, and not worry about bills and mortgages and tax and emotions and pH and hormones and children. and all the other stuff, we need space. And now that I've done my theological due diligence, the reality
hold, time out.
I was on the way. My bad. Go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
Because I just wanted to drop just one thing in there, and then you go back to, you can go. We can go hood for a second. Just the thing to tap into what you were saying. Sometimes we need to be around people because that whole iron sharpens iron piece.
That's right.
Iron sharpens iron, so I sharpen the continents in you, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to be around some people that are like-minded, who can sharpen my iron, that I can bounce some stuff off of. Okay, I almost said amen. So I can bounce some ideas off. So I can bounce some ideas and ideologies and things of that nature off of each other. So that way we're not feeling as if we are trapped in this bubble, so to speak. Because right now the bubble is the most popular thing else with the whole corona. So we're not just trapped in this bubble and all I have is one idea to bounce things off of. I need to be around some other superheroes.
Wow, that's good. That's good.
That's facts.
Come on, Corey. I know you was going somewhere. Let's go. I felt it in my spirit.
No, go ahead. Go. You know what? I'm gonna save it because I think Fred want to say something. He was rubbing his chin, even though he ain't got no hair on it. Go ahead, Fred.
Dog is Fred.
Hey man, don't hate me for my boyish good looks. Listen. As you were rambling on, Corey, about whatever you're talking about, it did occur to me. It's an interesting tug of war, I think, that women have, and I want to say this in the way of a warning, that those women who get complained about or identified as being clingy or smothering or just overly present, is particularly when it's obvious that your man needs some space. There's a danger that you remake this person into somebody other than the man that you fell in love with, or the person that attracted your attention or made you so interested that you actually fell for him. In the beginnings of relationships, when women may think that they got you, or they think you're worthwhile, or they want to sort of seal the deal, and they get really attentive and sometimes overwhelmingly so. When you prevent guys from having space, when you prevent guys from being themselves, when you prevent guys from exploring their interests, the ones that they had before you met them, and mold them into somebody who's always there, who's right there beside you, who's doing whatever you want to do, who doesn't express any passion about anything. If there's nothing in his life that he refuses to be dissuaded from, nothing in his life that he puts his foot down for, and is this the guy you really want? Is this the guy you fell in love with? Or is this someone that you made into a Stepford husband, spouse, mate, you want to call it? Is this the same dude? Or have you made this into somebody who you think now you got hooked and scaled on a filleting table? What do you want? So be careful how you consider your man in your relationship, and be wary and be attentive to his need for space, attentive to his need to be himself. Remember, that's the person that you fell in love with. Don't make him over into something that he's not. Don't, neuter this guy and make him into some play doll, or as Lamar said, your best girlfriend.
What a beard.
Ultimately, that's one of the biggest challenges that a lot of relationships have. And I'll say this, and I will take the backlash from it, is that you jump into a relationship and you always hear the same old thing. You can train him, girl.
Stop
trying to change somebody. You cannot change. Well, some people can change. I'm gonna say that some will change. You cannot change somebody who does not want to be changed. The thing is, you accepted him the way that he was in the beginning. So why are you trying to change him now? You said yes to him with all of his faults, all of his issues, all of his problems. You said yes. And now when you get the ring on the finger, put that ring on it. Once you get that ring on it, now you change, so therefore you want to change him into what you want him to be.
They lied, Lamar. They lied.
They lied.
They was playing possum.
Possum.
Wait. They
Oh.
was playing possum. Wait till you got, because here's the thing, man. If we're honest with ourselves, I think the history and experience that all of us have on this call, we've all found ourselves in relationships with somebody that had an ulterior motive to potentially change us down the road. And so I listen, we've all done it. We've all done it. I think women do it more, but we've all had that experience where a woman accepted this for a season with the hopes that you would become this man that she dreamt about, this man that she believed that God had sent her, this man that God divinely created for her. And so the truth of the matter is, a lot of them lied and they played possum. And it was cute in the beginning when it was roses and peaches and fairy tales and cupcakes. But now that you're in the thick of it, what wasn't an issue or irritant before becomes a major issue all of a sudden. And so, yeah, they don't always tell the truth.
Well, the lie, this is a big issue, and it will head off topic, but the lie started with them. You know, the lie was that these things, these red flags, are not an issue. Yeah, they're an issue, but their priorities were not straight in the first place. Their priorities were, he can pay these bills, he can do this, that, take care of kid, blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is, it's not about those things that are really should be important to someone when they're trying to decide whether or not someone is worthwhile and you want to, you know, share your life with them. But the lie started with them, and it continues with us when they say, well, I'll fix that. And going to the scriptural aspect of it, how prideful is that to think that I'm all of a sudden Almighty God and I know what's best for this person and who he should be or she should be from a personality standpoint. But like I said, that goes in an entirely different direction, but lies are told.
Oh,
Facts.
I think there's something that I would like to call the Ken Doll syndrome.
Yeah, talk about it, Lamar.
The Ken Doll syndrome, because it was something that was brought up in their childhood, and they were able to take this Ken doll and dress them the way they wanted to dress them, and maneuver them the way that they wanted to maneuver them, and put them in the kitchen or in the bedroom or in the living room, you know, because they had the whole house. So now, since we're playing house with the dolls, they can manipulate him to be whatever they wanted him to be. And often that's the same thing that's taking into a lot of relationships, especially when it comes to the area of wanting a man wanting to have a little bit of space so that the man can recharge, so that the man can get his thoughts, the man can get his ideas together, get with God on a personal basis. But there are some, there are some, I ain't gonna say all, but there are some who would just want to take that doll, and they have now transitioned the doll into that man. And now they want to dress him. Now they want to put him where they want to put him, and do what they want to do with him, and manipulate him to do what they want versus what they need.
That's deep, bro.
Yeah, that's deep, man. I like that whole Ken doll syndrome, and I want to piggyback on that, Lamar. I think a lot of women too, man, they don't want to give men space because it's not part of what they asked or prayed for. They didn't ask God or pray to God for a man who desired to have time alone by himself. And they don't quite understand why a man can't function in his work, in his gift, with her in the same room. They don't quite understand, why can't you work from home? Why can't you share in these things when I'm here? Why do you need to have your own time in order to accomplish the great things that you're accomplishing in life? How come you can't? If the two become one, why can't we just do this dance together? Why do you feel that you have to dance on your own at times? And I think it goes back to your theory, Lamar, this whole Ken doll syndrome. I don't believe women ever thought or prayed for a man who desired his own time in his own space. And so when they get somebody who does desire that, it's like, hold on. I love you because you're a provider. I love you because there's security here. I love you because you're a visionary. But this whole you need your own space thing, I'll work with you, but eventually you'll give in to me. eventually you won't need your own space. And I think to Fred's point earlier, it's a setup. You can't set yourselves up by assuming that a man is going to change the standards that you have asked or prayed for, because I believe at the end of the day, only God can change that man. But at the same time, you still want him to be the man that he is. Here it is, you're trying to change him to be somebody that he's not. And that's where the rubber meets the road. That's where the frustration sets in, because you're trying to change. And he's like, but that's not who I am.
Now, the topic of trying to change someone, we'll go there. But I want to answer your question about why. You're asking why don't they get that we need space? Why don't they understand? Let's not forget our lesson from the book, right? We all agree, and I think it's clear that women speak an entirely different language. They don't understand because they don't think like us. They don't get it. They just don't process information the way we do, and they don't understand how we process it. So if we want to understand, we have to remember to think along the same lines that they do, and try to use the same type of reasoning and thought processing that they do. That's what they don't understand. I'll give you an example of the difference in the way men and women think. And this is a very simple example. There were some dishes in the kitchen to be done one day. We got a dishwasher, we got a kitchen sink. It wasn't enough dishes to load into the dishwasher. I could have knocked them out like that. It's something I didn't mind doing, and it's something I didn't want my wife to do. I wanted to make sure she didn't have to do it. She hadn't made it home yet. I wanted to make sure when she got home, she didn't see a sink full of dishes, because she probably was going to cook. I just wanted to, this is my part. I want to do this, and I want to make sure she doesn't have to do it. Well, she got home unexpectedly soon, came in the house, dropped her stuff. I was still working around. She finishes, comes directly into the kitchen and starts trying to help. And I appreciate it, but sweetheart, I got this. I got this. This is fine. Go sit down. You just got home. Go sit down. And she was kind of taken aback. She was like, sort of hesitated and stopped and started to leave. And I said, I got it. I don't want you to have to work this. And then she actually turned around and insisted. And she said, but I want to help. I like being in the kitchen with you, right? I didn't know that. She said, I don't mind. I like being in the kitchen with you. That's the way she thought. Two different poles of ideas here. I didn't want her to do it. She wanted to help because she enjoys working with me. That's how differently we think. So to get them to understand why we need space and when we need space and the numerous reasons why and what the solutions are to that, they really do have to start trying to think like us. We cannot forget about that. When you look at all these things, they have to understand how we process information, right? I'm not going to start talking about my problems to my wife unless I have an idea, have it crystallized as to what the real problems are, so that we can then talk about solutions. I'm talking to her because I think I need her input on solutions. I'm not even going to come and approach the subject unless I have what I think are the issues, the crucial issues that we need to discuss. That's how men think. That's why when they start telling us about their problems and they really need somebody to just listen and say, really? Wow, that's how that made you feel? And we go, what you need to do is right here. First, you got to take it this. You don't ever listen to me when I try to, and there they go. And you just screwed up because you was just trying to help. That's how different it is. So they really have to value the differences in the way we think if they want to understand. If they really want to understand and affect the type of positive relationship that we're talking about, trying to help them realize, then they have to explore as seriously the differences as we explore them in the book that we just read. That series.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's look at it this way too. Let's shift for a second, Reggie. Why do you think? And I want all of us to kind of jump into this. But start with you, Reggie. Why do you think women have a hard time giving men space, right? Fred alluded to the fact that they need to think like us, maybe, in order to understand that, and that's one way of thinking. I believe that could be partially true for some women out there, but there's other women who think differently and have a hard time letting the man go. He can leave the house, Reggie, and within minutes she's texting, Are you okay? He ain't even arrived at the spot yet to hang with the boys. And while he's hanging with the boys, it's like, oh, don't forget to pick up some paper towels. Oh, don't forget to pick up some hand soap on your way home. Oh, don't forget to give, Pookie some Pampers. It's this constant check-in, right? Why do you think, Reggie, that women tend to do this constant check-in and have a hard time letting men kind of have their own space?
Well, I mean, it was already addressed. There might be some insecurities that you may need to work on. There might be some inner work that you may need to work on that you thought, was done that is actually incomplete. So I'm a high advocate of therapy. Doing therapy isn't because you're crazy, because something wrong with you. It's just to have an outlet to get shit off your chest. It's for you to get over any issues that you have in the past, any issues that you have in the present. And everybody needs to do it, males and females. So I'm a high advocate for that. I think the other side of it, because I was thinking about it as Fred spoke, was yes, learn how to give the brother space. And then brothers, when you're done with your space, you have to be thoroughly immersed when you get back in the space with your woman.
That's
because
good.
if I say, okay, babe, I need to work late tonight.
That's good. To
work my business or to work on my craft, whatever your vision is, and then you're done, you clock out from your business and you're like, all right, babe, I'm about to go to bed, or I'm so tired, or you're chilling on the couch, but she's trying to be present to you, but you on your phone, or you're not really present in whatever other way. She gave you the space, but now you came back and you're still not present. So you're physically present, but you're mentally
checked out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're checked out.
Very good.
So it's like I had to learn that myself. I had to learn that I play full out in my business. But as soon as I check out, I need to play full out with my family. I need to play full out with my wife. If I need to, set up the date night, I need to take out the garbage, I need to do the errands, whatever it is, I have to give it 100%. So now I need to, whatever gas tank I was using for my vision, that's great. But I need to then tap into a different gas tank for my family and play full out. And to the how we talked about taking vacations with your homies. You can't. I'll just say this: ain't no way you should be setting up a vacation with your homie and you ain't set up a vacation with your lady.
Yeah,
that's just dumb.
Real talk.
So be intentional. Like, yes, as a fella, set up the fella's trip, but make sure you got something lined up with your lady. Because that's why she giving you the side eye. Like, Negro, like, you really, I don't mind you going to Vegas, but what's up? Last time we took a trip was last year. Last time we went on a weekend getaway was never.
Wow. Wow.
I think that's what it really is. She may not directly be saying it, or maybe she's not even aware enough to really come to that conclusion, but that's probably what it is a lot of times.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's good, Reggie. Staples, Corey, jump in. Same question.
I think often is an area really simple. It's called trust and communication.
Yeah.
If you really trust him, you don't mind giving him space. If you really trust him and you're able to really communicate with him properly, let's put it this way: you give him space. And because you don't trust him, now you begin to interrogate him. So since you're now interrogating him, now you're becoming more of a nuisance and pushing him further away where he needs more space versus just the moment that he just needed, maybe just an hour or two that he needed to get his life together, to really have a real conversation with God. But yet you're stalking him on social media, trying to figure out where he at, what he doing, what's happening. You done sent him 9 different messages before he even got around the corner, before he even get to the pool hall or get to wherever he gonna go with the fellas. And now you pull up this whole interrogation moment. Now you turned into the district attorney and you asking all of these questions about what's going on, what's happening, where you been, how you been, what you been doing, what happened with this, why is this, what's, all of those same things. And then, the crazy thing is oftentimes they begin to chase him. Now you're chasing something that should never be chased. He should have been chasing you. But now you have turned around and become the aggressor, and he was supposed to be chasing you the whole time. But now you're interrogating and chasing him, and now doing nothing more than breeding more areas in a place of trust issues, because now you can't trust him, and now he can't have a breather because you can't trust, and that right there in itself, I think that's one of the issues that a lot of people have, especially in relationships. That's man and female. That goes on both sides, because I think everybody needs a place of space. Everybody needs some time, and the reason I say that wholeheartedly is because I have a relationship with God and you have a relationship with God.
Mm-hmm.
My relationship with God does not go through you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't need you in my relationship with God. I need you to help me along the way in getting some things done to go towards a certain goal, to get some stuff together. Yes, I need you for that. I don't need you in between me and God. I don't need you in between me and God. So I need some space so that I can get into a meditation moment, a meditation mode, just so I can hear clearly from God, so I get the directions that I need, not only for me, but also for my entire family, also for my business, also for everything that I'm connected to. I need to be able to hear clearly from God, and I don't need to hear you thinking that you're telling me what God is saying. God can talk to me too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's good.
I'm sorry, Corey. I went talked about Jesus and stuff. I'm sorry, Corey.
Oh, Corey, before you respond, that was good, Brooke.
That's all right.
Comment you said that different genders are socialized differently and often have different societal expectations. Brooke, you're on the money. I mean, you're totally right. Just our socialization completely in the United States of America is so different than the socialization we see in other continents. And all of us on this call have traveled to other countries, and we know firsthand that it's totally different in other spaces. But in the United States, certainly the socialization of men, the socialization of women do have these proverbial expectations. Even though we're in 2020, it's still so hard to walk away from some of the traditionalism that we've been kind of raised to believe. So it's tough, bro. You're right, but you hit it on the head. You hit it on the head. So before Corey responds, Lamar, you said something, and then Reggie said something, and I think that I love how y'all both tied it together. Reggie, you mentioned how men also have to get themselves together to be completely immersed when they are out of the house and they come back home, right? And I think when Lamar talked about how when he comes back home, if she's checked in with him the entire time he was gone, he hasn't had a moment to himself. It's almost like the clock didn't get a chance to reset. Yeah. So by the time he arrives home, he feels as if he's never left. And so I think that as the women are listening tonight, you have to listen to what Reggie has said as far as, you want to give him space so that when he comes back home, he can immerse completely into you and him. But at the same time, to Lamar's point, if you're constantly checking in with him while he's out, he's never in the house. Corey, go ahead, jump in.
Give me a chance to miss you.
That's exactly what I was thinking, bro. That's right.
Give me an opportunity. I know it's Corey's turn. Give me a minute to miss you, because if I don't miss you, it's the same thing it was before I left the house.
How do y'all
give me a moment to miss you?
How do y'all handle that? Because I know all of you received that. I received it. I know y'all received it. Did you miss me while you were gone? And you've had that constant check-in, the text, the phone call. I mean, honestly, how do y'all men handle that? This just between us. I know people eavesdropping. But how do y'all handle the response, I missed you, or I didn't miss you, because I felt like I never left?
Okay, can I just be very truthful right now?
I need some help with that.
Can I be very truthful?
Hell yeah.
Corey tried to find another bottle of water.
We demand
if I can be very truthful in that situation right there, I will, because I've heard this before, and there are times when I really didn't miss you because you didn't give me a chance to miss you. Because you was on the phone, we were texting, you was calling, we were doing this. I'm trying to all of that. We've done all of that, So I really didn't get an opportunity to really miss you. But then I would say something, you know, and be like, yeah, I missed you. I sure did.
Mm.
And the whole time I'm really not even telling the whole truth. I'm really lying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I didn't have an opportunity to.
Lamar, I'm on the same.
You got backup water.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, ladies, quick tip. Your man, and correct me if I'm right, fellas, your man wants to know that you're sure of yourself. He's, of course, going to speak life into you, right? He's going to build you up, right? But if he notices that you question yourself, if he notices that you question yourself by, like you said, not allowing him to have space, it takes away from what you guys have. I'll just put it like that. But when he knows that you're confident in yourself, he knows that you're confident in what you bring to the table. He knows that when you send him out there, he knows what I got at home oversees everything that's out there. It adds something to what you guys have. So knowing that my woman is confident, knowing that my woman is sure of herself, it adds to the situation. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong.
Confidence and independence, in my personal view, is sexy. If you are confident in who you are, and you don't need me to validate you, you can validate yourself.
Yeah.
That right there in itself is a wonderful thing. You don't need me to grow yourself. You don't need me to, no. You have enough drive. You have enough that's in you. You don't need me to validate you, even though I will. However, you don't need me to do so. To me, that's sexy to me. That's attractive to me, that you have your own drive and you don't need my drive to make you feel like you're something. You already know that you're something.
Wow.
Another thing is that when you exhibit confidence in your man, if you really honestly married a decent man, if you married somebody worthwhile with principles, common decency, and you trust them.
Here goes Socrates.
Huh?
I said, here goes Socrates.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. And kind of Socrates / Richard Pryor / Obama, you know what I mean? And the new James Bond, played by Idris Elba. You know what I'm saying?
Love it.
Kind of rolled into one.
I like that.
That type of picture with some cool shades. But when you trust, and maybe a little bit more facial hair, but anyway, if you trust that dude, it's affirming, right? And it creates accountability. When you think of it, the woman that you love, who let you go and do your thing, and when you got back, she said, "Did you have a good time with the boys, Fred?" And you're like, "Yeah, baby," and you just all into her because she let you be free. If you love somebody, set them free. They're gonna come back. They're gonna come back better. They're gonna come back rejuvenated. They'll come back rested. They'll come back ready for you. They'll come back ready to give you all of themselves. But it's affirming, right? If you got somebody that you don't trust, it's either a personal issue with you, or it's somebody that you should have thought more than once about in the first place. If you don't know them well enough by now that you really think that they're dishonest with you, or you can't trust them if they spend 2 or 3, minutes outside of your vision, right? But you might need to ask yourself about your trust issues if you really have problems with your man being away from you, and he's, a decent individual.
Letitia just said, if she's whole, she can let you have space. Letitia, that's a powerful comment. If she's whole, I wish she was on the show with us right now. You can really explain that whole piece, because we as men, we can talk about what being whole is as a man, but what does being whole as a woman look like?
That's a major question right there.
Yeah. Oh, okay, Letitia, I see you. She put whole is not broken or damaged.
Ooh. God. But, see, we can take this conversation a whole other different way.
Let me just say before we wrap this up, because like you said, this would go far. Not broken or damaged may not have anything to do with me.
Right.
You
Right.
It may not have anything to do with me.
So true.
I might be able to help you with that.
But you brought that, Fred, into the relationship, though.
I brought that into
no. She brought that into the into the relationship. But here's the thing: because we are the men, then it's proverbially our job to fix the damage of the broken.
But we're not armchair psychologists. That's
Oh, I'm not saying it is our job, but don't you think that when women enter into a relationship broken or damaged, the thought is, I hope that you'll help me fix this?
That's an unfair expectation.
I mean, to help, that's I don't think that's unrealistic expectation to help. To be the primary source, that's an unrealistic expectation.
Now, help depends on, Reggie, you speak, openly about your support for anyone who needs therapy, and the fact that it's good for probably most everybody. But help in what way? Is this person, your spouse, your lover, whoever it is, are they amenable to therapy? Are they ready to see someone else? Because it's the rare person who's able to shepherd themselves out of their own psychological confusion, let alone try to identify what the cause of somebody else's dilemma is, and then try to help them in a meaningful, positive way, right? This is some tricky stuff when you say help somebody, right? So, like I said, this takes us down a multi-forked road of different paths to help.
So this is how I would even answer that. What helping would look like. I could always speak life into you. I could encourage you, right? I could give you tips. I could speak from my experience. Or I could point you in the direction of a book that I've read that helped me maybe to deal with those issues or someone else that I know that dealt with those issues. Because when you really help somebody, it's not that you do it for them, because if you're doing it for them, you're showing them that they can't do it for themselves. So you give the person a resource that allows them to equip themselves so that way they don't need you. You're the complementary piece, right? But it's not about you. It's about the resource that you've given them. So like I said, a book, a seminar, a tape, a therapist, whatever it is, resources that they could plug into, and you're the complementary piece. So that's how we put it. Help, support, your woman. Because I do believe that, that's what we're here for. If we're in a relationship, I always tell my fellas, man, like my wife, of course, I noticed the first thing from day one, from jump, was she was fine as hell. That's what got me. But what kept me was that she challenged me and she made me better, and she makes me better to this day. So that's something that she's taken on, whether it be consciously or just through who she is. But I also take on that role to help her be at her best too.
That's good. That's good. Corey, jump in, man. You've had a chance, Corey, to analyze and synthesize these thoughts, man, these last few minutes, man. And bro, the young lady Clarissa just said, I know that you're probably gonna move into this direction. She says a woman should never come into a relationship in a damaged state. She needs to take the time to work and fix herself beforehand. A man can make her feel better, but cannot fix her.
We're all damaged.
Yeah, that's hot.
We're all damaged. We're all damaged.
So, guys, I wasn't sure if I was on from his lips to her ears or the damn Brady Bunch. Because you guys have been extremely nice tonight, and I'm appreciative.
Right.
I should have brought me a glass of wine or some milk and cookies. I wasn't sure which one I should have brought, but let me unpack a couple of things really quickly. Number one, Jason, this is a great topic. I think that it is our responsibility as men to, if they would allow us, to help educate women on why space is so important. And I think we talked about that. We talked about the recharge and just the focus. And sometimes y'all just getting on our damn nerves and we need to move around. But I think that Reggie and Dr. Staples brought something in that I really want to deal with, and it's that trust piece. It's the trust. It's the fact that I don't trust you to have space. And because I don't trust you, when you have space, it doesn't feel like you have space. which in turn makes you desire more space. And now there's this crazy cycle of me seeking space and you fighting space. And now we just in a weird space in a relationship. I ran something by a friend of mine today because I want to get into something controversial a little bit, and then I want to deal with the whole damage thing. Matter of fact, I'll deal with that first. Fred, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think it is theoretical for people to say if you're damaged, don't get in a relationship. And I would challenge somebody to tell me what wholeness looks like. All right, because wholeness to you is going to be different from wholeness for me. I think all of us are broken. The Bible says all of us are depraved. We've all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. And so the reality is all of us are broken. And so the notion that I must reach a personal perfection to be qualified for a healthy relationship is to me is just a complete misconception. But that's not the topic. I do think that we should deal with a few things in our life, but all of us are broken or damaged in some area. Look at Reggie. He wears tight shirts all the time, right? He's damaged. He's broken. Right? Apparently, there's something going on there. Every time I get on, he's drinking protein shakes and got weight like he just finished lifting weights. But anyway, it's a whole nother subject. But I talked to a friend of mine, Dr. Lamar, and I think that you will probably ride with me on this one. He said, man, not only do my wife doesn't have an issue with me taking space, but what she does do because of lack of trust, she tries to dictate where I take my space.
Ooh.
Wow.
So it's one thing to let a man have space, but when you're dictating where he can take his space, you might as well tell the nigga he can't have no space. Because now I've got to get approved because Reggie said something so key. Reggie said, I agree with you, bro. My fiance, man, I'm not gonna take a bros trip unless I've taken my baby somewhere.
Absolutely.
But it's gonna be a fundamental issue if I take you to Hawaii and you tell me I can't go to Vegas with my fellas because you know what happens in Vegas. Well, what happens in Vegas has nothing to do with who I am.
Yeah.
And so if you don't trust me, that's a bigger issue than the whole space thing.
Thank you.
The biggest issue isn't space. The biggest issue is, have you either, because one or two things have happened. Either he has done something to violate the trust and you guys haven't rebuilt that trust. And so what you're doing now is you're making him a proverbial prisoner. So you can have space, but only when I let you out of the cell.
Wow.
See, I don't know about y'all, Lamar, but I went to jail one time and I went to jail on a ticket, but I got into it with a guard who was trying to power trip. He maced me and he threw me into what's called a 23-hour rotation. In a 23-hour rotation, Lamar, it means you're in solitary confinement until they decide to let you out. And when they let you out, it is a controlled environment and it's a controlled time.
23 and 1.
So it's 23 and 1. You get 23 in the cage and you get 1 to get out. And I get to tell you where you're going and how long you get. Doesn't sound like space to me, sounds like prison. And so what I want to talk about is I want to talk to the woman that has a trust issue with her man, and she's giving him space, but she's trying to control where he goes, who he goes with, and how long he goes. Because all of you gentlemen alluded to it. The reality is, if you got to tell me where I can go, and you texting me every 5 minutes, I may as well stay my ass at home because I ain't had no space. And so I think it's important that we deal with that trust piece. How long do you hold this over his head? Or maybe it's not something he did. Come talk to me, Fred. Maybe it's something you brought in the relationship and you have a damaged perspective. Maybe your father hurt you or your ex hurt you or your ex-boyfriend did something that reminded you of him. And now what you're doing is you're subconsciously making him pay for the mistake that the other person made. It's unhealthy. And then you try to figure out, because what will happen is, let me just tell you, because it's happened to me, and I'm sorry, Fred, 10 seconds.
No.
I've been in a relationship like that before in the past, Reggie, where she didn't trust me. And because she didn't trust me, she felt like she needed to go everywhere with me. And then it got to the point where I wanted her to go nowhere with me.
Wow.
Because even on vacation, I felt like I was in prison.
Wow. Even on vacation.
So what you're saying is some people bring in unresolved hurt and unresolved issues from previous relationships, from all the way down from parental relationships into romantic relationships and friendship relationships that they never dealt with in the past. So therefore, they bring that in and makes them incapable to trust you because they never dealt with that hurt them.
Absolutely, Dr. Staples, you're speaking very eloquently, and let me just make it very practical. Let me make it very practical for some people. That one of the ways, if Dr. Staples, if I go out to work out with Reggie, who seems like he work out 8 days a week, if I go to work out with Reggie and Reggie drops a dumbbell on my ankle, the next time I go with Reggie, I'm going to make sure I put a space between me and the dumbbells.
Yeah.
It's called a control mechanism.
Wow.
So one of the ways that I try to protect myself from being hurt is I try to control the situation.
That's right.
And so now I don't approach the dumbbells because last time Reggie hurt me with the dumbbells. And so I'm going to control it. And subconsciously, that's what we do in relationships, is we try to control a situation so that we don't get hurt. But it's hard to control a grown man.
It's hard
or
to.
a grown woman.
Yeah.
The last thing I need you to do is try to control me.
Yeah.
Because then I may become rebellious unconsciously because I feel like I'm being controlled. Does that make sense for us?
Perfect sense, bro.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, for real. Yeah. Rebellious consciously, resentful unconsciously, rebellious consciously.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
At the least, there needs to be a discussion just to talk about relationships. And I've said through the previous series up until now, and I'll say it again, don't ignore red flags. All right. We're talking about a red flag right now. Right. So to everybody who's male or female, who's dating somebody or whatever, and you see this type of behavior exhibited in them early in your relationship, where you been? Where you going? Who you with? All that kind of stuff, and you are not really together. You're just forming some type of relationship, and you're seeing these types of behaviors. Don't expect them to just dissipate and go away like the fog. This is what your life's going to be like. So if you don't have a solution for this, decide whether this is the way you want to live or not, because everybody needs space. Everybody needs space, and if you have a warden or a road boss, if you feel like you're espoused to or married to or dating or living with a road boss, that's somebody riding on a horse with a shotgun and a whip telling you to dig that ditch faster. Decide sooner rather than later if that's for you.
If you're listening tonight, you're on our From His Lips to Her Ears series, How to Love a Man, and then tonight is about giving him space. Corey, you said a mouthful, and I wish that we could probably touch on everything that you said. Maybe we'll probably have to go and create different segments for some of these pieces. But one of the things I wrote down, Corey, while you were talking was, where are you going? Who are you with? And how long will you be there? I think that those three pieces right there really do delineate the feeling a man has of either having space or not having space. To your point about being the 23 and 1, if I have to feel incarcerated or pigeonholed to where I can go, and pigeonholed to who I can be around, and then pigeonholed how long I have to be there, then to Lamar's point earlier, then why the hell go? I might as well just stay at home.
Hey, I'm talking about I might as well stay at the crib, and the impact of me staying at the crib is really going to be more detrimental than what you think may happen when I'm out of the crib. Because if I don't get a chance to reset or relieve some pressure or just, hey, ladies that's watching, I talked to one of my friends today, and let me just tell you what happens when we have space. Gentlemen, correct me if I'm wrong, But I talked to one of my boys, JD, today, and we just chopped it up for about an hour. He just got married, and he was telling me about some things that he's dealing with. And I gave him a different perspective. And then I started telling him about some things I'm dealing with, and he gave me a different perspective. Now, there was no women involved, no alcohol, no drugs, no sex, no orgies. It was just brothers having a conversation, and we were able to reset one another and encourage one another. And I personally think that he was a better man to his wife today, and I would be a better man to my fiance today because I got space to talk to my brother that challenged me and that held me accountable. Now we can have that same. Now watch it. I know, Dr. Jason, that Dr. Staples is on here, and he won Christian of the Year award last year. But listen, I can sit with Fred.
Wait a minute, I was runner up.
No, you weren't, Fred. You weren't. It was Reggie, actually, just so you know. But I can sit with Fred in the barbershop. I can sit with Jason at the bar. I can even go to the gym with Reggie. Mm-hmm. And no matter, because sometimes, gentlemen, let's just keep it a buck. When I'm with the fellas, it's like, y'all remember, and this is going to sound really full of estrogen, but y'all remember that commercial, Calgon Take Me Away, where the woman is sitting in the tub, but then in her mind, she floats off and she's somewhere else.
Yeah.
Sometimes when the brothers get together, no matter where we are, we end up somewhere else in our mind based on the conversation. Mm-hmm. And so you're concerned about the geographical location, but you should be concerned about the content of the conversation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's real talk. Reggie and I had the privilege, man, going out of town together earlier this year. I think it was 2019. We took a trip, man, out of the country. Beautiful trip, man. And one of the things that I still think about to this day is every morning, 7:30, 8 o'clock, we would all get up and we would sit at the breakfast table and we would have breakfast. And we would be there sometimes an hour, 2 hours, and we would just be talking, man, about life, about manhood, about fears, aspirations, dreams, triumphs, failures. We'll talk about it all. And I know that when we left that breakfast table each and every morning, Corey, to your point, there was this sense of the strength that I felt each time that I left the breakfast table. The strength felt different than having breakfast, lunch, or dinner with my lady. It felt different. It was almost like breakfast, lunch, and dinner with your lady is like you have to be on all the time because you want to be aware of your surroundings. You want to be careful about what you say. You don't want to, your body language to be off, and then you're in an argument. But when you're amongst men and you're breaking bread amongst men, there is safety there. Yeah. And it's something about being strengthened by the brothers that you're around. And I feel that, man, I don't know about y'all, but each week we get on this show, it's Tuesday nights at 7:30. I don't know about y'all, but when we get off the show, I feel strong as hell. Like my Tuesday and Wednesday are typically my strongest days of the week since we started doing this series almost 3 months ago.
I come running here for rejuvenation, man. I can't wait to get here. I couldn't wait to leave work today. Just thinking about this, I've been, giddy when I got up this morning. But everything you just said, I feel like I know y'all like I've known you from grade school. And I believe that I know what kind of men you are. Based on what you talk about, the impressions that you give, the way you live your lives, what you do for a living, your scripture, your Christian beliefs, automatic. So I know where that's going to lead you. But the fact of women who can't trust their men, and I know that there's some component of that is beyond any man's control. We can't control how women grow up. We can't control the traumas they may experience. We can't control the things that make people who they are. Nobody decides that, we are often victims of our circumstances and our experiences, all of us. But I don't understand women who are with men that they don't trust so much that they can't look at and say, well, I know my man, So if this is a decent, kind, loving man based on the way he treats men, I hope that men are treating their women like queens, then wouldn't I expect him to associate with men who are of a similar vein, right? Birds of a feather, right? I can guarantee you, I know what Lamar does in his spare time. I have a good idea, right? I know what Corey and Reggie, I know Reggie just eats a lot of protein and shit, the push-ups and body weights, you know, a bunch of ridiculousness. Does this on this
Keto diet and all that stuff. Right.
That type of thing. I know what Jason does. I know how y'all live because we see similarly. You know what I mean? We have a similar perspective. So the point is, find somebody that you trust and that you love, so you know that he's not being led astray by some scurrilous, influences in his life. That he's around somebody who's uplifting. If, for instance, Jason, if I want to go hang out with Parker, my wife said, "Yeah, I know what you're gonna be doing. I know where you are." Well, mostly, but she knows I'm going to come back rejuvenated and uplifted because we're going to talk about family issues. We're going to talk about our kids. We're going to talk about difficulties with this kid in school. We'll be talking about whatever. But at the end, we'll be supporting each other. We'll be loving each other, just like you said. So who are you with, right? If it ain't your problem, if it ain't you, if you don't have this insecurity and stuff within inside you, then who are you with? Look at that man and ask yourself, who is this guy? Do I need to be suspicious of him 24 hours a day? Do I need to create a mobile prison for him every time he leaves the house? Right? You need to have a discussion, and you need to not, allow yourself to be found in this situation.
That's good. That's good, man.
Same thing for men, in your relationships.
There's a question, Lady Staples, you presented. We're going to have to tackle that another time because I think it's valid. What if there are present issues that we created as men? And absolutely, we're not painting the picture tonight that men do not create issues. We're not painting the picture that women bring in brokenness and damage goods to the relationship. There are issues that we create in relationships that do give women the bad vibe, the bad juju, the uncertainty, the confusion, the sleepless nights. We do that. Absolutely, we do that. And so we definitely need to be able to talk about the flip side of the coin, because tonight we did focus on women, watch what you bring into the relationship, but also give the man the space that he needs. But men, you all know, those who are listening, you all know there's some dumb stuff that y'all do, that we do, right, that do tip women off, like,
for sure,
to the point where, some of y'all are like keying cars and throwing bricks through windows and, showing up at the job unannounced and all kind of crazy stuff. I mean, maybe it's not crazy because we do it to you, right? So
it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. It is.
Hey, so
but Jason, let me ask you a question. I know, man, I'm acting like Staples did last week, man. I do have a question though, man.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was having a conversation with somebody earlier, and what I did is I took them down memory lane when me and my ex-wife were in counseling. And as you just alluded to, I had done some things that caused question, as First Lady Staples just talked about in her question. And the counselor, I'll never forget, we was in a counseling session, Reggie, and the counselor looked at my ex-wife and she asked her a very pertinent question. She said, yes, Mrs. Hughes, he did it. Yes, you deserve to be upset. But the question is, how long is his sentence?
Wow.
And I think as what First Lady Staples, just the question she asked, yes, there are times that all of us, I believe, except for maybe Reggie, has done some things in our past that could have caused friction and caused them to lose trust. But when those actions have been accounted for and changed, the question is, how long
is a sentence?
How long is a sentence? How long do you continue to bring that up? How long do we talk about that? How long? I mean, it happened in 2018. Can I go with Fred to New York in 2022? Or do I got 5 more years before I can go? Like, I'm not exactly sure, and so that's something that, just to be controversial, we can kind of talk about down the road, if not next week. But how long is the sentence? How long does he have to
That's true.
Bishop Jake said something to me, Staples. I was talking to him about marriage, and he said, Corey, I never start something that I can't finish.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I'm not going to be checking in 20 years, I'm not going to be checking in year number 1.
Wow.
Thank you.
Don't start. And I'm telling you, man, I know, Staples, I'm like you. I may get in trouble, but I tell my fiance all the time, baby, I'm not starting them that I'm not going to be able to finish.
Mm-hmm.
And so there were some behaviors that I just will not acquiesce to, because I'm not going to be somebody that I'm not, because you can only do that for so long.
Yeah.
All right. I want to go here.
Hold on, before we jump, I know Reggie's got to jump really quick, and we're going to wrap up here shortly. But Reggie, before we jump, next week's topic, Reggie, part 3 is, and I left it to just 2 words. It's still the How to Love a Man series, but it's part 3. Help him.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't fill in after the him, right? I didn't want to fill that in. But I think that How to Love a Man, part 3, help him.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to dive in deep. Reggie, think about that before you jump, off the call. And I wanted you to have that in your spirit, man. So next week, you come ready, shooting, blazing, because all of us have what it is that we need help in, right? And so we don't want to make a blanket statement. Help him in ministry. Help him at the gym. Help him build his dreams. Help him do something.
Right.
And we're going to talk about that next week.
Let's go. I'm ready. Let's go.
Hey, Reg, go do your push-ups, bro. Good to see you.
All right.
Calf raises at the table. He was doing calf raises. I could tell he was
All right, y'all. Much love.
like that. All right, Reg.
No, Corey, you're right, man. I think at some point we should go right into that. I mean, Lady Staples made a good point about discussing the hurt that we bring on to the women in our relationships, but also, damn, Corey, that was so good. How long do I have to serve this sentence? And how many I'm sorry's is enough? How many vacations will get it right? How many new rings will make it right? How many Louis Vuittons do you need before you say you're forgiven? How many new houses do I have to build you?
We talked about.
Listen, I watched the show, Fred, with my kids back in the day, and they used to say to infinity and beyond. I have discovered, now some ladies may disagree with me, brother, but I have discovered that it don't matter how much you do to rectify it. In their mind, you broke it, and it's probably never going to be fixed, at least back to the way that it used to be. But I'm being messy and petty right now, so I'm gonna pull up out of that and just say,
that's legit, man. Somebody's going through that. There's no situation I think that we touch on, no matter how extreme, no matter how lighthearted, and it can go both ways between the 5 of us. God's gonna bless somebody, right? It doesn't matter whether we know it or not. And a matter of fact, I choose not to know because pride won't be involved. I just pray every morning that God will just use me. Period. I don't need to know no more. That's my gift is me to him for all he's done for me. Yeah. But never mind.
Hey, man. Go ahead.
Lamar, hey, this is the first time I've ever seen Fred speechless.
I know.
Oh, man, I've never seen that.
I know.
That ain't never happened.
Don't give me some hurt, but you act like I don't have feelings. You act like I don't have feelings. I has feelings.
Is your wife Vicky in the room, Fred? Is that why?
Is your wife watching?
She might be. I don't know though. She's next door.
Okay.
She's next door.
Just back out of it, Fred. Back out. Just back out of it.
Lord have mercy. We'll put it this way. I'm gonna say this, Dylan, the area that this crazy fella by the name of Corey Hugh said, how long is the sentence?
Boom.
But one of the things that I've dealt with, literally, it's one of the things I've dealt with, even trying to be transparent in the pulpit. I gave a honest moment because I thought, this is what I thought in my mind. I thought that people would respect and honor honesty, dealing in a personal situation. And that had to been 8-9 years ago. And still to this day, because of my relationship between from the pulpit to the pews, I have still been held accountable to something that I had already fixed at home.
Wow. Wow.
I had already fixed that at home, but yet I'm still serving a sentence of something that I was trying to help somebody else out. And honestly, you know, at the end of the message, after I kind of came clean about some things that I had been dealing with, that there was approximately about 20 some odd marriages that came to me, families that came to me and said, you know what, because you came clean with that, you were a blessing. And that is the only reason, because you were able to talk about it. That is the only reason that I'm staying with him or I'm staying with her now. You fixed you were able, God used you to be able to fix our relationship. But then there are a whole lot of others that are still holding me in this thing called prison because I was being transparent and thought that I was helping someone. But yet it's still being held accountable for the things that I said by trying to come clean about some stuff.
But what I was going to say was, do you see how that's inflicted on you if you let it be? And to some certain degree, maybe out of your control, but it's really their problem. And you as a minister, you as a theologian, and us as Christians, we know that this is personal stuff. There are all kinds of egregious sins, all kinds of things we can do to hurt each other. All times, and these things happen in a moment, and it takes forever to rebuild trust.
That's right.
Right? That's legit. Trust is hard to build, it's easy to obliterate, and it's even harder to regain.
Yeah.
But in the end, it's up to the forgiver. Somebody really has to decide that they're going to let you off the hook. Right? Somebody has to decide that they're going to let it go, right? The aggrieved, the offended, as well as the offender. The offender needs to let it go at some point and realize, I can't be my own forgiveness. I can't make this person forgive me. But the other person has to realize, at least when you finally put all of this stuff into perspective yourself, they're just carrying around a bunch of negative baggage that's only an issue to them, especially if it doesn't bother you anymore. But there are varying degrees of grief, varying degrees of embrace of forgiveness, or at least varying rates of it. You know, people, you have to, number one, put it in perspective. Number two, decide that you're over it and that you're going to forgive this person. And then hopefully they can regain your trust. There are steps involved, and all of that depends on the individual offended, the offender, and their ability to own up to it and help, apologize or help make it easier to be forgiven. And then their ability to just forgive and remend those ties that have been lost. So much of this is out of our control. For those people who we don't bring a bunch of stuff and put it in their baggage. We don't bring a bunch of extra trauma and problems and put it in their purse, right? You can't inflict that on us. It gets inflicted on us. But like I said before, we're not armchair psychiatrists. All we can do is try to identify an issue and try to help you understand how we're not that guy, or don't deserve that kind of scrutiny, or don't deserve a warden like this, or a guard who like this. You know what I mean? So what you want to do, and you talked about, you said just recently, you're not going to do now what you're not going to be able to do 20 years from now. You made a statement earlier that I wanted to comment on, but it would have been going in that direction. It's what you just said is some of the stuff that happens, you get ready to go out and you hear, well, where you going? That's fair, right? That's fair. Are you going far, far away? How long do I need to pray for you to return? When should I expect you back? That type of thing. That's fair. Who are you going to be with? It depends on the spirit of these types of questions. If I'm going out, I'm going to tell my wife where I'm going. It ain't no secret, right? I want her to be able to get in touch with me if she needs to, but she needs to know she doesn't need to call me constantly to check to make sure that I'm there. Because if she does, that's a problem. All right? Like somebody said, that's a damn problem. Because the problem ain't that she's calling and bugging me. The problem is she thinks that I didn't mean what I said when I said I was going to somewhere. You have to lie to nobody, right? I'm telling you where I'm going.
Right on.
Now, if you don't believe that, that's a problem.
And that's not your problem.
That's not my problem.
That's not
There you go. There you go.
That ain't my problem. That's your problem. And let me explain something to you, right? I'm gonna explain to you why you need to get over it, right? Because we ain't gonna live like this.
Oh, that was simple. That's good right there.
Did
Oh, well, I know, Jay. I know we got it. Oh, he dropped the mic. You know, he dropped the mic.
Hey, Lamar, I know you finna try to close us out, man. But listen, I want to speak to your wardens, the people that have held you in prison for years, from what you spoke over the pulpit. Let me just tell you something. You ever seen the Mafia movie where the crime boss end up going to jail, and he don't go to a regular cell, but he going there. He got a TV, he got steak and shrimp, he got lobster.
Yeah.
Lamar, I want you, the prison that they built for you, I want you to live lavishly in that prison.
Wow.
Right? Because here's what I've discovered about people. People will always have the proclivity to hold you to a standard that they are not living themselves. And then they judge you and they judge you and they judge you. And it's a different judgment when it's coming from somebody from outside. You know, gratefully, whatever it was, who cares? Because we've all had our journeys. Whatever it was, as long as you and your wife and the people that matter to you have gone through the proper steps to rectify things and get things right, I'm one of the preachers that would tell you, you can kiss all of the goodness and mercy that follow me all the days of my life. Because nobody is perfect.
Yes.
And nobody has a prison to keep you in. And the truth of the matter is, the Bible says that all things work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose. There is purpose on your life, which means there are going to be some good and some bad, some ups and some downs, some round the corners, some lefts and some rights. And it all works out for your favor. So the prison that they trying to put you in is traditionally the prison that they will end up in themselves. The Bible says, if you see your brother taken over in the fault, ye that are spiritual, pray, lest you be overtaken. I'm paraphrasing here. Lest you go through the same stuff yourself. And so you can't judge anybody for the mistakes, their journey, the issues. You pray for them that God would restore them. And if you can't pray for restoration, you need to get out of that situation.
Man, you talk
unequally yoked. I'm trying to tell you.
Man, I'm talking about, I'm from the church folk to the whatever, but you can kiss both of these cheeks.
See, that's Corey right there. There you go. All I was gonna say this, and I appreciate exactly what you said, Corey, because you are absolutely right. You are absolutely right, man. You hit everything right on target. But all I was gonna say was this: oftentimes, people in relationships and in those and all types of relationships, they often need and want grace that they're not willing to give.
That's good.
So what they do is they're ask God for forgiveness. They're ask God for his grace. They're ask God for his mercy, but yet they'll see their brother, they'll see their sister, and they're not willing to give them the same grace and the same mercy that they pleaded and they begged for themselves. And I just let that stay right there. Jay, we over time, Jay. Come on, man.
No, but you always close this out, man. That was good, Lamar. I think you and Corey both closed it. It was like a double benediction. I feel like, you know what I'm saying, you had the mic, and then you hooped and hollered, and then Corey, and he just finished it off. I mean,
no. See, Corey hit that, and the Bible says.
I get a Hammond play as soon as Corey grabbed that mic.
I'm gonna hit my fingers over here like this, like, as if I know how to play. I don't know if he in C, B flat. I don't know where Corey at tonight.
I was in C flat.
You gotta hit that hi-hat drum.
C flat.
The drum, the hi-hat. When you hit, you know what I know, Pastor. I know I'm gonna come to church.
Hey, man, it's important, man. I'm gonna speak from my heart for 30 seconds. It's important, man. It's important that you, thank you so much, Dr. Staples, for saying that, man, that you learn to exercise the same grace that you will need.
Yeah.
And then also learn to exercise the same grace that you've received. Yeah, we oftentimes forget. We oftentimes forget the grace that we've received because we put our wild days in the back of our mind. but there is a reservoir of grace that was needed to sustain us.
Absolutely.
And then when we come out of that situation and we feel delivered from it, some of us have the tendency to become judgmental because we forget the thing that God brought us from. And so I'm going to give you the same grace that I received. I know for a fact. Now, listen, it took me 43 years to understand this, Dr. Staples, when preachers would stand up and say, if it had not been for the Lord who was on my side.
Oh,
See,
man.
if you've never been through anything, you don't understand that God's grace is the only thing that kept you.
That's right.
And you don't have the right to judge anybody or judge
You
their
make me go
journey.
to Holland in
The
here.
only thing you have the right to do is pray for them. Because if it hadn't been for God's grace on your life, listen to me. I'm gonna leave that alone, man. Jason, that's
You gonna make me doing the two-step up in here? What's wrong with you?
This is why I said in the first 5 minutes of the call tonight, I said we always end up on the same road at the end. We take different paths to get there. Ladies, if you're still listening, there is a plan in place. And oftentimes the plan that you've created on your blueprint might not look like the plan that you created on ours. However, the end result got to be the same. Absolutely. And if you're okay, if both you and him got the same end result on the blueprint, don't get so caught up in how he gets there. Because to Corey's point, man, sometimes it's going to take some hell and high water. To Lamar's point, sometimes it's going to be, you having to isolate yourself just long enough so God can insulate you. To Fred's point earlier when he was mentioning the fact that, he has been married long enough to understand that there are some fights that you just don't need to fight, right?
Yeah.
There's just some things that we have all learned, and these men on the call, this is why we call it from his lips to her ears. We have learned some things in our life. We have been through some things in our life. We have failed in some areas and have been victorious in some other ones. And so our whole hope is to help every woman who comes into context of this here web series to understand that you don't have to be destitute. You don't have to be in bondage. You don't have to be broken. You don't have to be damaged, right? Because we're giving you the tools. And at the end of every call, that tools leads to the cross.
Oh, man.
It does, man.
Well, just for clarity, it leads to the cross and to Home Depot to get more duct tape. I'm just,
Hey, so look,
I didn't tell you about the wood spoon. You got a wood spoon. Everybody got a wood spoon.
Hey, so here's part 3. Next week, I told you is help him, and that's you fill it in. Help him reach his dreams. Help him become a better man. Just help him. Part 4 in 2 weeks will be forgive him. Thank you, Lamar, for that. Part 4, and then part 5 will conclude with Music Soul Child. Teach him how to love you.
That's good, man.
Teach him how to love you. So part 3, part 4, part 5. And then I want to give y'all a little tidbit, man. The brothers on the call tonight, they don't know this. I think I might have mentioned it to Fred. But here, as soon as we're done this series, we're jumping into another series from his lips to her ears on men raising daughters. We're going to spend a few weeks because we've seen in the news all the time about how black men don't raise children and how black men leave their children to be raised by single mothers. But every person on this call, now I'm looking at them right now, everybody on this call has a young girl. The 4 of us, right? And then we're gonna bring in some other guns too, some other guys who are also raising daughters, and we're gonna talk about that because it's so important that when we look in the book of Genesis, how many times a woman's identity it really does come from a man.
Yeah, absolutely.
She learns how to be a woman from her mother, but her identity, who she is, really is rooted in her relationship with her father. And so we're gonna go through that 4 or 5 weeks because we know how important it is for the young girls who are out here who may not have had that father figure growing up, old women out here who still yearn for that father figure, right? we're going to talk through that for the next few weeks. So you guys are in for a real treat. How to Love a Man series. We're going to conclude in about 3 weeks, and then we're going to jump right into it. Men raising daughters.
Man, I got to get my life together because y'all gonna have me on this joint crying, going through changes and snotting, and because my biggest joy and my biggest headache, my biggest the thing that I love more than anything in life, and the same one who can say one word and crush my entire heart. Y'all gonna have me in here going through changes. Y'all pray for me. I'm gonna need some help. Help me, Lord. We talking about that next week. I need help.
All right, y'all. Well, look, be safe, man. We'll connect next week.
Have a good night.
All right, brother.
Bless you, man. Love you, boy. Talk to you.
All right, love you too, man. Peace.